Hey everybody, Salem Child here. Okay, today we're going to be working on the hair part of our little slow tutorial. And everything. So, let's see what we got here. Let's open up our girl picture that we were working on. There she is. So now we've got all the skin and everything taken care of. Now we're going to start doing the hair. Now hair can be interesting, and hair can be, it can do its own thing. Turn down the music there. I'm listening to some chill mix stuff today, so a little bit lighter than the EDM aggression rock that we were hearing last time. Okay, so if you look at our sketch, I always did my sketch first. We've got some bangs here that go over the face, and we have it that goes around the back and everything. Now, depending on how you want your hair, you can have your hair to be all behind your figure, or you can have, stray hairs over and everything. That's cool to have stray hairs and stuff over, but remember, we're also going to put clothes on her. So maybe the hair might get in the way if we put things on her shoulders and stuff like that. So maybe we ought to just do the behind the back kind of look. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new raster layer, and I'm going to show you different ways of doing hair so that you can do this pretty easily and everything, and it's not going to be like, oh my god, it's so much hair. So first thing you need to know about hair is that it's in sections. If you're a woman watching this, you definitely know this because women plait and braid their hair and stuff all the time. So you know about sections. You got to take your hair in sections in order to braid it or color it, especially when you're doing like hair coloring and stuff like that. So women can all tell you about sections. If you're not a woman and you're watching this, you're like, huh? What are you talking about? They can tell you all about it. Drawing is the same way. You got to think of it like that. Hair is also a unique part of the body in that it is a mass, a thick mass, just like your arms, your limbs, fingers, things like that. However, this thick mass is made up of millions of strands of hair. So it's like there's little hairs all making up big sections of long flowing hair, or short hair. Even if you have short hair, it's still got sections of strands. So it's kind of a unique part of the body in that regard. Hair can be any color. In fact, anime is known for having people with blue, pink, or green hair. There's at least every anime you ever watch will have. Guarantee you, somebody has blue hair, somebody has green hair, somebody has pink hair, or somebody has white hair. In every anime you watch, there will be somebody with green, blue, pink, or white hair. That's just an anime thing. Also, if you're into punk rock or whatever, I've seen lots of people in real life with green, blue, purple, whatever hair. So it depends on what kind of person you're painting, what the theme of your art piece is and everything. If you're doing manga, if you're doing steampunk, if you're just drawing your friend or something, So, alright, enough talking. Alright, so there's several ways to also do hair. We'll do several different types. So, this first type I'll show you how to airbrush. And what you do is you get airbrush. I'm going to go like this. Let's go with a reddish color. Since she's kind of tan and everything, we'll go with this reddish color. That'd be cool. And you pick something rather large, like we're going to go with 40. And you start painting in. Now the thing about this is You want to get the mass in there. And hair is also soft. Even if you have a hard hairstyle, like if you have a bob or whatever, hair is always soft. Now the problem with doing it like this over the skin, because you want to make those bangs go in there right, and you want to draw in these sections and you want to draw in the bangs. Well, that's fine for, you know, this part of the going over her face where your bangs are going to be, but what about here where it curves around her ear? Because you don't want it sprayed over her ear. You don't want to paint over her ear. So you kind of run into this problem of, okay, I've got to be real careful about painting around her ear and around skin and stuff, that like the shoulders here that we're getting to. We don't want to paint over the shoulders, and we don't want to paint over the ear. So you get into this point where this is fine. You just and you're just painting the hair away like this. And sometimes I even use the marker tool, but today I'm not using a marker tool. I'm just showing you. I'll probably get into that in a minute. But you get in here and you're painting along and everything, but then you get into the point where, like here, like over here in her face, you don't want to overspray over here into her face. And you don't want to overspray. Now it goes back like this, but it goes over back behind her shoulder and stuff. So how can we do that? Well, you just have to be careful. You can either do really careful painting where you go like this, and you make sure you get around that ear and everything, and just really, you know, really paint carefully, so around the edges. And if you have a steady hand, you know, this is fine. This is fine. But suppose you sneeze or something. Ah, now you got it over the ear. Yeah, sure, you can erase it, but suppose you're painting along and you don't even realize that you've painted, because this is the same color brown, you don't realize you painted all the way over here into her face until after you start doing the highlights and stuff. So, you know, careful painting can only go so far, especially if, you know, suppose we made her a brunette or something instead of having this caramel color hair. This color is the same color as the shade we used for the skin. So, you know, you don't know if you painted into her skin or not over here. That could be kind of a problem. So how would you handle that? There's several ways that you can. So I'm on purposely, and I hope this works, I'm on purposely going to overspray. And I'm going to overspray over her hair and stuff right here. Also, unless your hair is wet or gelled, it is not a solid straight mass. Like you see how we're doing this, and it has straight lines. I mean, we're using the spray, so it's softening up the edges. But unless, like I said, unless your hair is gelled or wet, like she's in a swimming pool or something, or in water, it's not going to be straight lines and stuff. Your hair will stick together when it's wet or gelled or something. So if that's the look you're going for, then perfect. Probably go into that too. But if you want to just, you know, well, we'll get into the strands in a minute. But say, yeah, see, I've overshadowed her shoulder and her face over this shoulder and everything, so what do we do? Okay, so we're going to have to go in here, and we're going to have to select. We're going to have to select around. So we need our Magic Wand tool. It's a lot easier to do with Photoshop than it is with Clips Paint, but it works the same. What we're going to do is we're going to gather this up here, and then we're going to go back to this layer. While we got this selected, the skin part, see? Select all the skin part. Make sure you get all of this in here too. Like so, hold Shift, And get, if you had hair over here, make sure you get this side over too. So let me zoom out. So make sure you get all the open areas around the figure herself, the figure. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to invert that. So you go selection, and you go invert selected areas. That way it selects our lovely girl. Okay, inside, and the hair that's outside. Okay, because we don't want any hair inside on the figure except where the bangs are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our hair layer without deselecting. Choose an eraser tool. We got a hard one, so what you do is you just erase. And you won't have to worry about erasing outside because see, it won't go outside the selection. So you just make sure you erase all of this hair that you don't want on her face. Just go over all these edges here. Over here in her shoulder. And you go, why didn't you just use the delete thing? Well, because if we did that, it would have gotten rid of the bangs too, because we sectioned off her head, remember? So that being said, okay, now we got that all taken care of. Ta-da! Here we make a little bit of lines and stuff here, like we can correct some of this. Sometimes it does this. You might want a feather next time. Looks like we're going to do some careful painting anyway. So yeah, sometimes, you know, you just have to do what you can do. And it's okay if it sprays a little bit over. You definitely don't want these little white lines where you saw the selection though. That is not something you want. Okay. Same thing with over here. It's a little... I don't know why it did that. I guess I didn't feather. But, it's okay to mix it in a little bit. You know, just... because we don't want any really hard lines. You just got to be real careful. Because you don't want it to overspray too much into your figure. Okay, so we got the basic shape of it down, and that's a good thing. Okay, so next up what we're going to do, what is this over here? I don't know what that is over there. What the? It's not on that layer. What is that? Oh, it must be a sketch or something. Okay, it must be the sketch or something. No, it's something to do with the... okay. Sorry. Okay, whatever. I was like, huh? Okay, anyway, hair. Okay. So we're going back to the hair layer. Hair is also, like I just said, it is strands. So you want to go with a smaller brush like this and come in and do some simple strands. Maybe even smaller, and do some simple strands out in the masses here, like this. So kind of gives it a little bit of depth, and it's not too soft, you know. Be very careful with it, though. You want it to be soft, but you don't want it to be, you know, too soft. You know. So we'll get in here and some of these strands like this, so it looks like hair. Now something else, go with a really low, like 3, 4, it's because it's so small, and just do little strands out here too, and kind of do rough strands like this out in the edges. The reason why is because your hair will always have little flyaways, and it shows like a realism to the hair if you do this. Don't really have to do much on the top or anything unless you have little sprigs popping up, you know, like this. If you have little sprigs or something, then okay. But you want to kind of go over real sloppy around these rounded edges. And why is because, like I just said, no matter how much you brush your hair or whatever, you're still going to have these little flyaways. Any girl can tell you that anytime you put your hair in a ponytail or anything, you know you will get these little flyaways. There's still going to be some little flyaways out of the main mass. You know, every once in a while, because your hair breaks. There's, you know, like we're dealing with millions of strands of hair, you know, so there's going to be flyaways and stuff, so that's good for up there. Down here, you notice we didn't put the edges, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the pointed edges of this, and you want to paint these in like this. A little bit of processing there. Make sure you don't go over her body, so because remember the hair is behind her, so if you want, you know, you don't trust yourself with that body, with not overspraying on the body and stuff, you can always do the selection thing that we just did earlier. Select, you know, outside her body and keep it selected outside of her body instead of inverting the selection. And that way you can paint everything outside the body. Once again, if we go smaller, do some flyaways. Like this. Not too, you do more flyaways because this is the end part of the hair. And, you know, this is how hair looks, you know, you got definitely, this is the end part of the fibers. And you go, why is it so choppy? Well, because, you know, it's more dramatic to be wind blown than, you know, straight cut and stuff, like I said. If you're dealing with wet hair, then we would do straight out clumps of straight hair and really good pointed with no flyaways, because all the flyaways would be plastered to the rest of the hair due to gel or water. So that's our basic outline of our hair. So we're going to just say basic outline. Now I'm going to do something really quick to show you what I mean by marker. So I'm gonna make that invisible real quick and make a real quick just temporary layer right now to show you what I mean by marker. Now you can do this with Photoshop and stuff too, but there's a problem with using, like, if you want to use like we did with the body, you know, and do this, and come in here and do this, and you want to, you know, do the lasso tool thing, you know, you can. I mean, if you want distinct, like if you're doing an anime style, sometimes they have distinct shapes to their hair, like spikes and stuff like that. Once again, you know, don't worry about the face. You just fill in, and then you go, oh no, it covered her face. Well, the way you take care of that is you do what you did earlier. Wand out here, selection, invert, go back to your thing, delete, there you go. But then once again, you'll have to go back once you did that, you know, you'll have to go back and do the bangs and stuff that you skipped. So you'll have to go back and do the bangs and stuff that you skipped, or that got deleted in that process. So, you know, it's all up to you, whatever's time savvy for you, as opposed to, you know, if you don't want to take the time to do all that. sometimes it skips some things too, so you're gonna might have some lines when you do this too. When dealing with really close section stuff like that, it's probably not a good idea. I mean, it looks fine far away. See close up. Notice that little white line from the selection tool. Yeah, you can feather and stuff too, and that's fine. And then you can go back, what you do with your G pen, or a hard brush with a stroke to it, and you can go in here with and do the strands like this, and kind of even it out and make it look like, kind of take out the polygonal look to it, you know, and to where it doesn't look like you can take out the polygonal shapes and make it look more like hair when you do it like this, you know, because you don't want polygons. Well, unless you're doing a polygonal look, you don't want polygonal shapes and stuff, so you kind of even it out and make it look like, you know, hair. And you can do the flyaways the same way that you did with the brush and stuff. You just kind of do this and point out, you know, we'll do some antennae. You know, they do that with some anime girls that have like little antenna sticking up, you know. So she has some anime antenna. And you just kind of go around and real sloppy and make some flyaways. Make them small, because flyaways are just flyaways. They're not really... The reason why you want these flyaways too is because I'm going to show you dramatic highlighting and stuff too. Just like we did on her skin, hair has dramatic highlighting too, and that can be, you know, just basically showing. But that you can also do that. Okay, so we're going to trash that. Okay, go back to our hair that we made with the brush. Okay, so now that we have basic outline, we're going to like that. And then you always want to start off with the dark or the medium tone. And then you want to use a brush. I've made a custom brush. I have these hair brushes that I've gotten from Clip Studio Paint Assets, which you can get tons of materials and stuff if you have Clip Paint Studio. Why do I keep saying it like that? Clip Studio Paint, sorry. I made this one. You'll notice it's called Custom Hair. If you want to know how to make brushes, there's plenty of stuff on how to do this online. So if you don't have your own hairbrush, you can make your own custom brush, which is what I did here. And so I'm not going to go into detail about how I made this brush and everything, because that would be an extra 15 minutes that we would be using to paint the hair. So if you want tutorials on how to make brushes with Clip Studio Paint and with Photoshop or whatever, there's tons of stuff on YouTube. Just kind of check it out. So we're just going to skip over that. Okay. So I got this custom hair brush here, but you can also download some stuff, or you can find stuff online, things like that. We locked our transparency, which will also lock all the flyaways because they're the same color, and it won't go into the skin and stuff because we didn't have it go into the skin. So all these little strands, stray strands and stuff, are going to be perfectly fine. Remember, our light is coming in from this direction here, so we're going to remember where the shadows go. So we'll start off with shadows. You go with dark, so we're going to go off really dark. And then down here, where it's shadowed from her face, we're going to shadow each strand. And you got to remember where your strands and sections are. You got to section off the hair. So we're going to go in here with the darks, like this. Sometimes you make them big, you can make them small. Start off and just kind of make your way real dark and then soften it up as it gets toward this part's going to be hit by the light more. This part here is away from the light, this part here, like this. And we're going to just do some nice little shadows. Remember, we're dealing with thousands of strands. So you want to make sure you get rounded in where they kind of curve down the face. Strands like this. Make sure you keep in the same direction of the flow of the hair too, because like a marker, it will kind of overlay, and it can make some weird, like unwanted patterns. So we go up here, go around the top of the hair here. That is away from the light, so it shows that she has a round head because she's not a flat head. So we kind of go around this. Remember, the sections are rounded as well. So we go like this, and we just kind of get off into the sections of the hair where she's got, like this. Same thing with back here. It's not going to be as dark as over here because her face is blocking the light on this part. But here, just get some custom lines in here and just kind of make some sections where it curves around. Real easy to do. It's easier to do this with a custom hair brush, which I suggest doing. If you don't want to do that, you just want to do the traditional way. It's a little harder, but here I'll just show you real quick. Soft brush, do it start off with a kind of a medium thing and just kind of go like this and just make real soft strokes starting from the bottom of the hair, like this. And then make smaller like we did with the strands. That way, if you have any really deep shadows, just section it off. Remember that your hair is in sections, like I said earlier. And just make these sections, shadow them up from the rest of the hair. Sideburns are a little bit iffy, so you go like that. If she had a part, then we would definitely use this for a part. But she doesn't really have a part except for up here, so and it's a little dark, so don't overdo it. See, you don't want to overdo it. But, section off some of the sections of her hair. Now let's go back to our custom brush. I just wanted to show you how you can do it with your line. It'll take more time with a line brush, so it would take way more time, and you're sitting here going and just making each individual strand shadows, and so it's just a lot easier with a custom brush. So you might want to consider making or downloading a custom brush. Now let's see. So here, once again, the body is in the way of the light, but just in that part. So remember sections. So we section it off. And start off with the ends here. Kind of round it out. Get it really dark. Remember to shade in shadows like this in the same direction that the hair is going, so the natural shadows look natural. It's not like it's just blocked off. It's not going to look blocked off and look weird for the hair. Remember, we're dealing with millions of strands, not one solid piece. It's not like over here in her armpit where this is one solid piece, this is one solid piece, and we just had to do a line and some shading. We're dealing with a million strands here that are being shadowed and stuff. And if you overdo the shadows, do the little trick with the eyedropper tool. You hold down Alt, get an eyedropper, get back to the color that you had here, and just kind of go over it. Make a bigger brush and kind of go over. And go over where you just kind of put too much shadow. That's too much shadow. I don't need it to be that dark. And you just customize over it and just ta-da! Much easier. See, now that we got the shadows in there, you can even do darker shadows, like if you really want to bring out the shadows bring them real dark and just, really get these parts here that are really behind the body. Just remember, millions of strands. So you want to go into the same shape that the hair is flowing. Maybe put a little bit by her ear here. And a little bit by her neck here. Definitely around here where she's like that. There you go. There you go. You don't want to overdo it. Don't overdo it. Because, yeah. Okay, so now we're talking about highlights. Highlights is a different thing. The hair is shiny. Hair is shiny, but once again, can't emphasize this enough. Millions of strands. So we're going to go back to our color that we had up here, our midtone, and we're going to lighten it up. So we're going to go up here and lighten it up. Maybe go up a little more towards the yellow. And you want to do simple, little light strokes. And you want to make them intermittent for each section. Like you get a section here, some processing, sorry. You get a section here, get a section here, get a section here, and this section here. Boom, 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 boom. Make some long strokes where it curves like this. Just kind of, but make them real light because they're just like that. Then you want to go in here and do these sections in here. So there's here, there's this one, there's this section here. And the good point is, like, the light shines, boom, right here in a line. So you start off with the line here, like this, and then stretch it out by going over it. That's a kind of a manga technique, but it works well with your paintings too, in case you're not doing a manga girl. And in this section here, you just want to make sure you get where the light's going to hit, where our light is hitting here. This part's a little too done, so what we'll do is, well, I'm going to go back over in shadows just like I did before, but you want to make sure you get like here, the sun, or light is hitting her here. So you real light, and then you kind of get into the middle part, and you can brush inside the middle and kind of strengthen, just level it out like that. See, sometimes it might be a little too much, like you did too much, like over here is too much. That's too much. It doesn't look natural. It looks like it just painted it in there. So you can do your thing here and just lighten it up like that. Go over here, lighten this up, kind of soften up those edges to where they're not so harsh. Same thing down here, but a little too much. So yeah, you soften up those edges with some loose strokes. Oh my god, I sound like Bob Ross. We're gonna make some happy little hair over here and do some loose strokes. Wiggle, wiggle out, wiggle, wiggle out, wiggle, wiggle out. Here. Okay, so that gets the first pass highlights. Okay. Now, I'm gonna save this because I don't want to lose any progress. Okay. And you go up into the higher stuff like this. Okay? And we're going to go into the bigger highlights. The bigger highlights, you want to use smaller strokes because we're talking like the real shiny parts. So it's only in certain parts of the hair. So you're just going to do like this. And just little sections. And even this, you can just a little bit. And just kind of lengthen out a bit, but not too much. Same thing with down here. And then down here. That was a little too harsh there, see? So you want to just like that. And that's our third pass. Then you want to do those, like the really, really bright ones. You might want to turn down the opacity down, like majorly. Like definitely, you know. And just do this. Real small. And I mean just where the light directly hits is where you want these. So nowhere except where the light directly hits. Because that's the absolute shiny parts. So like do this kind of like you would her lips, like we did her lips in the other video. You do it like that. See? Now if it's too shiny, you're like, okay, that's way too shiny. The only way you would have it like really like, I mean, hardcore shiny, where you just have these hard lights, is like I said, if it's wet or gelled. So if she's in a pool of water, like you're drawing a mermaid or something like that, yeah, wet hair will definitely have major shine to it, just like you would do major highlights on skin and stuff too if she were wet. And in fact, I'm going to show you that with later on. After we do clothing and stuff, I'll show you like wet look, everything. So if you want to lighten it up to where it's not going to have those hard lines, use the soft airbrush. Use a big thing and just lightly kind of blend it out like this. Just lightly. See, that way it gets rid of the lines. Because you go, okay, it's got way too much lines. Okay. So you just real lightly kind of blur out the lines. Now, if it's still too dark, you could do this. You know, it's just, okay, that's a little too much. Okay, well, there you go. Just soften it up some more. Like that. Soften this up some more. Don't have to have super bright, you know, like that. And there you go. Same thing with over here. It's a little too bright, so just kind of neutral it down, tone it down. So that's the natural highlights. Now comes one of the fun parts. We're going to do the harsh light. You see it here? Like here, how we did this on her skin here, and on her jawline here, these hard lights. Hair has the same thing. So what we're going to do, get our custom hairbrush again. We're going to go really bright. Matter of fact, we might as well grab the same light color as the light on her skin so it will match up. And you want to get in close and get a medium small brush, and you want to get all these strands, and we're going to go over the edges of each section here, like this. And you start off hard and soften it up as you go, outer. Make sure we get all of these strands over here, because those are definitely going to catch the light and be washed out because they are thin hairs. Okay, and then we go into here and just go over the edge of the hair like this. Same direction as where the hair is flowing. So, like this. And you want to go over like this. And it's okay to have it, because this is the harsh light. Same thing within here. It's going to start getting into here. And on this part, like this. Might even get into the highlights of the hair here. Make it really bright. See? Because the what's going on is the sun is shining through some of these strands. So it's making it really bright. Especially down here on the tips of these hairs here. The sun will shine right through, or the light will shine right through these as well. And on this side, it'll be around the back of her head. You want to get all the flyaways and just very edge here. And that takes care of the hard lines. See? Ta-da! Like that. You can even go any brighter and make the really, really hard. Just like this. I'm going to go in the soft brush and just go around and just like this, right on the edge. Yeah, they kind of disappear, but when we put a background in, it won't disappear. So, like this, a little bit of a halo around the back. Because your hair does actually make a halo. That sketch is messing me up. That's why. I was like, why can't I paint over that line? And then I realized it was a sketch. Same thing we did with the muscles and stuff. Remember, we have thousands of strands, millions of strands. So you want to, like this. A little bit of harsh. Like this. In fact, we'll even use our custom hairbrush. And just really get in there on the edge. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, there we go. This, I have to spray down a bit because it's too much. The hair is a mass, but like this. Sunlight will shine through those strands, but not when it starts getting thicker. That's when the silhouette starts happening. So you want this nice little kind of silhouette thing going when it comes to the back part of hair. When you're doing a silhouette with sunlight behind, you want to have a silhouette and kind of a halo effect around the back. Like that. And that's one way, that's how I do hair. If you want really good highlights, you know, also if there's just not bright enough, you can, oh, not like that. Not with that. Yeah. Go in here and just real light kind of go over some of these like here and like that, and that's fine. See, and that's how we got her hair. So that's a good hair technique. You can always use references and stuff. Just using references is great. You know, like one of my favorite artists, Shannon Mayer, you know, he uses Daz Studio models too, and he'll have them with hair and everything. So he gets all sorts of references for hair and everything. And so, you know, you can do that too if you want. If that's, you know, you're not comfortable with with hair, you know, and you're like, oh man, how do the lights and stuff work with hair, and you're not comfortable, you can use tons of reference, people. References are a good thing. And that way you can make natural looking stuff, good looking stuff, and paintings that you can be proud of and enjoy. And pretty soon you can be making YouTube videos like this, which I look forward to. If you guys ever make a YouTube video and your YouTube channel and stuff, and hey, a silent shot, I made my own YouTube video, check it out. Yeah, I will. I'll totally check it out. I will totally support you and your art, you know. That's why I'm making this channel, is to help you guys with your artistic endeavors and your dreams of being able to do cool art and fantasy art and stuff. All right, let's do wet hair real quick. Okay. Matter of fact, this will be a good time to show you the marker tool. Okay, so marker tool. Suppose you want to do this. Bring our sketch layer back. Do the major shape of her head, the basic shape of her head. Okay. And wet hair is going to hang wet. It is not going to be flowy. It's not going to be wind blown because it's wet. So hair is heavy. Anybody with long hair can tell you that long hair is, when it's wet, it's heavy. It has a weight to it. That is, all these strands are stuck together. So it's going to have a weight to it, so it's going to be flat. And it's going to be heavy looking. So when you paint it, you're going to have to keep that in mind, that it is going to just heavily hang from head, shoulders, neck, etc. I'm just kind of going along. I'm not really. So instead of windblown like this, you know, we're going to go with, you know, it's going to be, you know, flat on her head. This would be the shape of her head, and you know, it's just flat on her head, like this. Yeah. Taking a while to paint this in there, isn't it? Okay. I just want to do something real quick. Okay, so we'll just like this. Go around the ear real quick. And, you know. And so it's going to be flat on her head, like I said. And, so no waves, just straight down with gravity like this. I'm just going to do the cap of her head. We're going to pretend that she kind of has medium length or hair or whatever. So you make sure, and I'm being sloppy, but here's the thing. And then you go switch to a pen tool or a hard brush, and then you put the strands the same way you would the other, you know, since you don't want any polygons. Process. You don't want any polygons, so you know, we're going to do it like that. We're going to just have flat wet hair. There's not going to be any flyaway strands, really, because the strands are stuck to each other. So you're going to see a lot more, you know, clumps, shapes. If you ever shampoo your hair, you know what I'm talking about. You shampoo your hair into spikes, you know, and give yourself a shampoo mohawk. I used to do that when I was a kid. You shampoo mohawk in the shower. It was kind of funny. But see, like, they're just clumps like this. So we're just doing clumps, you know, like that. maybe do some dramatic, like this. Just wet ringlets and stuff down in her face, like that. No flyaways, because, it's wet. So she's not going to have, like, she's not going to have like this. They're going to be like this. They're going to hang down wet ringlets. They're not going to fly away. So we're not going to have any flyaways over here or anything. Then lock this layer, so we'll have it. And then you go in with your airbrush. And we still do the same thing, but we get harsher lines because it's wet. So you go in here and you just start painting in the sections like this, like we did with the other hair, but we're not worried about softening it up. We're just like this. The further away it is from the light, you don't have to worry about it. So you just kind of do this. And then straight down. And kind of here, where she's got this light here. Okay. Like that. And then you do the lighter ones, just the same. Like that. And even smaller. It's okay to have, just like her hair was plastic or something. You're making her hair look like plastic. You go, well, yeah, because it's wet. So you can even, go in there with actual harsh lines like this with wet hair. With her hair gelled and everything, you can even put harsh lines like this. And real harsh lines. See? And you go, oh, it looks like plastic. Well, yeah, because she's got wet hair. Same thing with your, if you got your highlight, your super highlights. Let's take away the sketch. Super highlights are the same way. You just go over like this, where the light's coming in, like that. Because it's going to be real shiny because her hair's wet. Like that. And then back over here behind. Not going to be as shiny because you don't have flyaways. So you just do the very edge, just like you're doing plastic or something like that, because her hair's wet. And that's how you do wet hair. So that's another way. In fact, I kind of like that one more than the other one we did. I don't know. Which one do you like better, this one or this one? I guess we'll keep our original one. That'd be fine. So that's hair tutorial and everything for today. Next time, I'll show you guys how to put on clothes, because it's not a nude. So we'll show you different clothes, and then I'll go into backgrounds and the lighting techniques and everything. So as always, thank you for watching. Tune in next time, and we'll put some clothes on our beautiful girl. Bye.